Pranam Swamiji.
Namaskar.
Namaste to everybody. We at Advaita Academy welcome Swamiji and you all to this 1 month long Oneness Festival, a global celebration of Adi Shankaracharya Ji. In this session, we have a live talk by Swami Tattwamayananda Ji, and it is followed by a question answer session and then another live session by Dr. D. Ramakrishna Garu. Please stay back for both. And for the new attendees, we have 4 sessions every day, 2 in the morning at 6 a.m. IST and 2 in the evening at 6:30 p.m. IST. Swamiji has had traditional training in Hindu scriptures, Sanskritam, and Vedic literature from his early days. He has taught Sanskritam, Vedantic scriptures, and Indian philosophy at the training center in Belur Mutt before coming to the US in 2012. Swami Tattwamayananda Ji has also served in many centers of the Ramakrishna order in India in various capacities, such as an editor, publisher of Advaita texts, as well as being a teacher of Sanskritam and Bhashya. Swami Tattwamayananda Ji is currently the minister in charge of the Vedanta Society of Northern California, San Francisco. You can access his talks both on YouTube and live stream at SF Vedanta. Swamiji will talk to us now about the Mahavakya Vichara from Chhandogya Upanishad. And before he proceeds, you may please go into the chat box and type in your comments and questions. And after Swamiji's discourse, we could probably take that up a little bit. I now humbly request Swamiji to please grace us with his discourse. Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha.
Namaskar. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to the global listeners. So I'm very happy to be part of this great program of paying back Rishi Runam to a tradition. Om Sruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram. Sri Adi Shankaracharya is one of the greatest spiritual luminaries, one of the greatest philosophical minds known to humanity. As a writer of bhashyas, of poetry, philosophical works, as a debater, as a builder of institutions, as a founder of monastic orders, as a great devotional poet, as a great religious reformer, his personality is perhaps even more astonishing than his achievements. His interpretation of Tattvamasi is the greatest proclamation of the essential fundamental unity and oneness of creation. It teaches us that humanity is one family, that whole creation is one family. As he himself writes in his bhashya on the Mandrika Karika, so siddhanta vyavasthasu dvaitino nischida dridham parasparam viruddhyante taihi ayam na viruddhyate. Parasparam anyonya virodhibhihi asmadiyoyam vaidigo dharma na viruddhyate atma ananyatvat. Atman, the transcendental, omnipresent, immanent reality is present in everyone. So we cannot quarrel with anyone. We cannot have any conflict with anyone in the world. Our whole human creation is one spiritual family. In one of the most memorable writings in the words of Sri Bhashya Swami, he says, Adyamba Jadhare Jani Dijasati Daridya Nirmulanam Sanyasagrahanam Gurupasadanam Sri Mandanadir Jayaka Sishyogagrahanam Subhashya Rajanam Sarvajna Pithasrayaka Pithanam Rajanedi Sangrahamayi Saisha Katha Shankari. Shankaracharya's life itself was a marvelous phenomenon the world has ever seen. His greatest contribution to human civilization, especially our spiritual and philosophical heritage, was his bhashyas on Prasthanataya, especially his bhashyas on the 10 Upanishad, the Upanishad. It was Shankaracharya who actually established Advaita this unity of oneness and of the whole creation as the central theme of the entire Vedic literature. And this is proclaimed in the Mahavakyam, that is Tattvamasi, in the Chandogya Upanishad. Chhandogya Upanishad itself is especially uh, 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 glorious spiritual work. So in fact, it is said when Rit mantras are turned into Saman, it becomes Sama mantras. So that is why when Rit mantras are turned into Swaramandala, then it's called Saman. Say Saptaswara Trigrama Mochanastu Ekavimshadhi Tana Ekona Panchasat Ityedat Swaramandalam. So the Chandogya Upanishad has a special significance. Chandas Sama Gayati the Chandogya. Now, a few important points about the Upanishad literature as a whole. In the Upanishad literature, you come across a large number of great philosophers, not only great sages who lived in the forest hermitages, but also great royal sages, Sanat Kumara, Narada, Swetaketu, Uddalaka, Satyajna, Paurushi, Indradyumna, Raikva. These are examples of the highly contemplated spiritual personalities in the Upanishad literature. On the other hand, Pravakana Jabali, the king of Panchala, Ashwapati, all these names signify the tradition of the royal sages, which you find gloriously interpreted by Shankaracharya in the Bhagavad Gita Bhashyam, Rajanascha Rishayascha Rajashyeka. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says the great spiritual tradition of India was preserved, promoted, and kept alive by the succession of the royal sages. Imam Vivasude Yogam Proktavanakam Avyam Vivaswan Manave Praha Manu Ikshakave Abravit Evam Parambara Praptam Imam Rajashayo Vidhu Sakalene Ihamagada Yogo Nashta Parandava. This Rajashi tradition is responsible for the preservation of Indian culture, especially this great idea of Tattvamasi. If you look at the history of human civilizations, today we know that we don't have any clear understanding as to how the Assyrian, the Babylonian, the Egyptian, the Greek civilizations were actually built up. We have lost trace of them. You have to visit historical museums to understand the fundamental principles of many of these civilizations. None of their living relics are to be seen anywhere. But if we go to India, you can still find the great tradition of secular sciences and spiritual traditions kept alive by this parampara. Now, Shankaracharya's philosophy itself is unique. That is the greatest contribution of India to the culture, the totality of human culture. Shankara makes a great distinction between Vyavaharika and Paramarthika. His analysis of reality as Paramarthika, Vyavaharika and Pratibhasika appears to be the unique contribution of Shankaracharya. He makes a distinction between Paramarthika and Vyavaharika. What is Trikala Atita, Shadvikara Atita and Avasthatraya Atita is Paramarthika. What remains without any change in the three points of time, the past, present and future, and what remains as the same experience in the Avasthatraya, in the waking state, dream state and deep sleep states, and what remains unaffected by the changes in time is beyond time and causation. That is Paramarthika, the absolute reality. Everything that we live in the world, everything that we connect with in the world is Vyavaharika. There is a great misunderstanding among many Western philosophical circles that Shankaracharya actually denied the reality of the world. He doesn't deny the reality of the world. Shankaracharya only denies the absolute reality of the world. And that is well known to modern physics also. The world changes. Everything in this world undergoes changes. So anything that changes cannot be absolutely real, but it is not absolutely unreal. On the other hand, to just give a contrast to understand Shankara's glory, you should remember Immanuel Kant also makes a distinction between nominal and phenomenal. But at the same time, the clear analysis of the absolute reality, and in contrast to the absolute reality, the relativity of the empirical experience, it was never made so crystal clear as Shankara did in the Bhashya. Now, for this, Shankaracharya used the unique method of Vivartavada, which is one aspect of Satkaryavada, as distinct and different from the Parinamavada of Sankhyas, the Prakriti Parinama of Sankhyas, or the Ishvara Parinama of the monotheistic schools of Vedanta. Now, when we directly come to these Chhandogya Upanishad, a few important points. Tattvamasi Mahavakya is explained and expounded in the 6th chapter of the Chhandogya Upanishad, which comes from Samaveda. There are total 16 khandas in the 6th chapter. From 8th khanda onwards, the discussion of Tattvamasi begins. The 8th khanda contains the first Upadesha, and then in the subsequent khandas, it will be called sections in English, there are 8 repetitions with 8 illustrations. This total, there are 9 statements of Tattvamasi, of which the first one is Upadesha, the next 8 repetitions illustrated by 8 different examples. According to traditional Vedantins, there is a way to decide the central theme of a work. Any book is called Tatparya Nirnaya tradition. Tatparya means the central theme, the essence of a book. So the traditional Vedantins normally have this way of deciding the Tatparyam of a book. Upakrama Upasamkhara Abhyasa Apurvada Phalam Arthavadu Upatija Lingam Tatparya Nirnaya. It's called Tatparya Nirnaya. In the Chhandogya Upanishad, especially the 6th chapter, you find Upakrama and Upasamkhara both indicate Tattvamasi. That is, Vichara-vakyasya adintayoko egartha paryavasanam. In the Chhandogya Upanishad, the 6th chapter, Atra sadeva iti upakrama, sa atma tattvamasi iti upasamkhara. So, the conclusion is Tattvamasi, and the beginning also is a statement that is the beginning of the exposition of the central philosophy of Tattvamasi. Abhyasa is repetition. Tattvamasi navakrutva. There are 9 statements of Tattvamasi. In the 8th khanda, Tattvamasi Shetaketu, this first statement is there, and that is repeated by Uddalaka 8 times from 9 to 16th khanda. Then Apurvada, Pratibhadasya Arthasya Manandara Agojaratvam, a central idea that is found only in this book. Atra Jiva Brahmaikyam Pratibhadyam. So, Jiva Brahmaikyam, the statement that what we are essentially, what we are inherently, the Atman that is present in all of us is non-different and non-distinct from the all-pervading, omnipresent, transcendental reality called Brahman. So, Jiva Brahmaikyam is the Apurvada, the unique teaching of this particular section. Then Phalam, Prayojanam. So, as we enter the Bhashya, I'm going to read the Bhashya, some of the important portions, and I shall try to explain in the coming few minutes. So that is Tattasya Tavadeva Chiram Yavat Na Vimokshe Adasambatshe Iti Mokshaka. So moksha is the phalam of Tattvamasi Upadesha. That is also the ultimate teachings of the whole Chhandogya Upanishad, especially the 6th chapter, Mukti or Moksha. Then Arthavada, Prashastyam Atraja Eka Vijnanena Sarva Vijnanam. So that is the greatness, the glory of Tattvamasi experiences again and again repeated in the section. Then Upapatti Annena Sunkena Apo Moolamanyucha iti. Now, Shankaracharya's greatness was that he accepted Shruti and he accepted Yukti also. But he emphasized again and again the ultimate pramanam of spiritual experience is our own real experience, our own inner experience, our own immediate experience. So, Shruti, Yukti, Upadesha and Anubhava. This is how human spiritual life evolves. We listen to scriptures, Sravana, we listen and we read books and we concentrate on the meaning of it. Then we try to analyze using our own intelligence and reasoning power, Yukti, and then we approach an Acharya, a teacher who has himself experienced this, and then we do sadhana through Sravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Then what happens? We reach that experience. This is a unique system. You find in the Tattvamasi, in the Bhasha itself. At the end, Shvetaketu underwent a complete transformation. When Shvetaketu first asked for Bhuyeva Mam Vijñapayatu, please teach me again. When Uddalaka taught Shvetaketu, Tattvamasi Shvetaketu, Esha Anima Aidudatmimidam Sarvam Tasatyam Sa Atma Tattvamasi Shvetaketu. Shvetaketu, this essence of the world, this Atman, which is the Atman of the world, the self of the world, that is you yourself. The absolute reality you are searching is actually non-distinct and non-different from yourself. Now, he listened to this and then he himself practiced sadhana, and this sadhana is explained in the language of metaphor as eight requests for repetitions and 8 illustrations. Now, if you listen to Mahavakya, you may get the experience immediately. That is called Sabda Parokshvada. If a spiritual seeker is the highest adhikari, is sadhana sadhushtaya sampanna. If he has already fully understood the meaning of sadhana sadhushtaya, fully establishing sadhana sadhushtaya, nitya nitya vastu viveka, ikamutra bhala bhoga viraga, samadhi shukra sambhati mumukshutva. That means a proper discerning wisdom between the real and unreal, upholding the real, giving up the unreal, and then mental restraint of the control of the senses, and a strong sense, strong desire for liberation, for moksha. It's called moktum ichha mumukshutvam. These are the 4 sadhana sadhushtayas. If a person is fully fit as a spiritual seeker in Advaita tradition, he should be a sadhana sadhushtaya sampanna. After that, if he approaches a guru, he gets this upadesha. Tattvamasi is a upadesha vakya, and after Tattvamasi upadesha, a person will have to do sadhana. Prajnanam Brahma is Swarupa Bodha Vakyam. Ayamatma Brahma is Aparoksha Vakyam. It is called, Anusandhana Vakyam. Like that, slowly a person may realize it if he's a highly accomplished spiritual sadhaka. Then immediate benefit, immediate result will be there. This is Sabda Aparokshvada. This particular school was maintained by the Vivarana Prasthana. Sureshwaracharya, Padmapada, they all belong to Vivarana Prasthana. So, Sureshwara, who wrote the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad Bhashya Vartigam, and Padmapada's and Padmapada, Prakashar Medi, all the Panchapadika and Panchapadika, Vivarana, all these other advanced Advaitic texts. So they belong to this particular school. If a spiritual seeker is fully ready for Upadesha, then the first statement itself will translate into Anubhuti. Suppose a person is fully familiar with a place, has traveled a number of times along the same road. You travel from San Francisco to to, let us say, Los Angeles every week, then you know every inch of the road. You know the whole route properly. So if somebody explains to you there is such a thing in that particular place where you drive from San Francisco to Los Angeles, immediately you'll be able to recognize it. So those who are fully established in sadhana, sadhushtaya sampatti, and also sravana, manana, nididhyasana, that person will not take a long time to reach experience. It's called Shabda Aparokshavad. In contrast to this, great Advaitins like Vajaspadi, Huru Vajaspadi, he wrote Bhamati, Tika, and Brahma Sutras, part of the Brahma Sutras, and also Brahma Siddhi was Mandana's famous book. So many of these philosophers, they held a different view. They asserted that it is not enough just to listen to Mahavakya. Mahavakya Sravana immediately does not produce the result. You should continue your spiritual sadhanas, and in course of time, you will reach this experience. So it doesn't happen immediately. In fact, the Upadesha, the dialogue between Uddalaka and Shetaketu, which is the central theme of the 6th chapter of Chhandogya, is a great example of Prasakyanavada. So, now a few important details about the analysis of Tattvamasi. Tattvamasi, identity or non-distinction, unity, it is the central theme. Here there are 3 words, Tat, Tvamasi. Tat is Vachyartha, literal meaning is Ishvara. Tvam, Vachyartha, literal meaning is Jiva. Asi indicates unity and oneness. Now, how can Ishvara and Jiva be the same? Cannot be. Ishvara is Sarvajna, Sarvavid, Srishti Sthiti, Samhara, all these great qualities, attributes are associated with Ishvara. How can we say that Ishvara is the same as Jiva? Jiva, on the other hand, is Alpajna. Jiva is nothing but Atman functioning through Antakarana and the senses in plain English. That means Jiva associates itself with the Jnanendriyas, Karmendriyas, Mana, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankara, Katrutva, Bhoktrutva. I'm doing this, I'm going to enjoy the results of my action. So all these emotions and feelings and vrittis, vasanas, samskaras, all these conditionings are associated with Jiva. How can the Jiva be the same as Ishvara? So Vachyartha will not work. Literal meaning will not be appropriate for understanding the meaning of Tattvamasi. So according to Vedantic scholars, they should resort to Lakshyartha. Of course, there are different ways of Lakshyartha. Jagat Ajaga Lakshana or Bhagatyaga Lakshana. That is the Lakshana that is normally accepted and used as a tool for a correct logical understanding of the Mahavakya, Upadeshavakya, Tattvamasi. So in Bhagatyaga Lakshana, what we do, we retain one part of it and we leave out the other part. So if you take that, this is called implied meaning, Lakshyartha. So if you just leave out the Jiva's association with Antakarana, with Indriyas, Mana, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankara, Jnanendriyas, Karmendriyas, Katrutva, Bhoktrutva, all these. If you remove these upadhis, then Jiva is Kudastha Chaitanyam. All of us are in essence Atman in association with Mana, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankara, that is mind, intellect, then the repository system of memories and the sense of egoity. And functioning through jnanendriyas and karmendriyas, the five senses of perception, five senses of action, then doership and enjoyership, kartrutva and bhoktrutva. This is nothing but jiva. You remove these ubadhis, then what we get is kudastha chaitanya. Similarly, just as we remove ubadhis from tumpada and get kudastha chaitanyam as a result of lakshyartha analysis, so also from tumpada, from tatpada, you leave out the characteristics of ubadhis of Ishvara. As I mentioned earlier, the vachyartha, literal meaning of tat is Ishvara. To get the correct understanding, we should take away the ubadhis of Ishvara, sarvajñatvam, etc. Then what is left is Satchidananda Brahman. So what it says is, in essence, the Kudastha Chaitanyam present in all of us as the inherent reality, Antaryami, is the same, is non-distinct from Brahman, Satchidananda Brahman. This is the real implication of Tattvamasi. Now, I shall try to read a few portions from Chhandogya Upanishad itself. Of course, I don't have time to go through the early part of it. The story of Shvetaketu you can find in the Chhandogya Upanishad. He was a young boy who neglected his education. When his father Uddalaka returned, the father found the child, the young son, had completely neglected his education. So he sent him to Gurukula, and after 12 years of education, this 12-year-old boy, by the time he has become 24 years, he returned, and Uddalaka asked him, have you learned that by learning which everything becomes known? And in essence, of course, we don't have time to repeat those portions. And Shvetaketu said, no, I have not learned. Then Uddalaka said, why didn't you learn? He said, because my teachers perhaps did not know. Anyway, Uddalaka himself teaches him. So the first Upadesha comes, as I mentioned, in the 9th Khanda, and a number of illustrations are given in the subsequent Khandas, because every time when Uddalaka said, Saesha Aidadatmamidam Satyam, clearly mentioned, Uddalaka repeated, but Shvetaketu did not understand. So Shvetaketu asked for Bhuya eva ma Bhagavan Vijñapayedu, please teach me again. Uddalaka repeats this with illustration. The 14th illustration is most important. It's called Gandhara Purusha Drishtantaka. So it begins like this. Yatha Somya Purusham Gandharebhyo Gandharebhyo. Another reading is there. Abhinadhakshamaniya Tam Tato Adijano Visrujid Sayatha Yatra Prangva Udangva Adhirangva Pratyangva Pratmayida Abhinadhaksha Anido Abhinadhaksha Visrushtaka. The story is this. A person was living in Gandhara Desha, corresponding to Kandahar in modern times in Afghanistan. He was taken away from there. He was ambushed. He was robbed of his possessions. He was dragged into a thick forest nearby, and then he was blindfolded and he was tied to a tree with a rope, and then the robbers went away. But then after some time, this poor man, this pilgrim, began to make a lot of noise. He began to cry and weep and shout, say, I'm left here, I'm left in this forest, I'm ambushed, I'm robbed by the robbers, by thieves. And then at that time, another traveler was passing through the same road. He listened to this man shouting and crying from that thick forest. So he was a very compassionate person. So he went to a thick forest, untied him, removed the blindfold, brought him to the main road, then asked him, now look here, you can go back to your Gandhara Desha. That's the next mantra, says, Tasya yatha abhinakanam pramuchya prabhuya edam disham gandhara edam drisham vraja iti. So this compassionate traveler brought this man from the thick forest, brought him to the main road, and told him, if you take this road, you can go back to your hometown. Sagramat gramam prichan pandito medhavi gandharaneva vasamvadyeta evameva iha acharyavan purusho veda tasya tavadeva chiram yavad na vimokshe adha sampatsye iti. And then, as for him, the delay, that person who is now properly directed to go back to his own hometown, is a matter of time before he reaches this place. But the point is, there are a few conditions. Now, Shankaracharya in his commentary explains this parable. The story is this: the poor man who was robed was taken away from Gandhara Desha, who was led to a thick forest and blindfolded and tied to a tree. That person is Baddha Jiva. That is, we are left in this forest of our own body. By whom? By our own karma phala, punya and papa, by the robbers. And what is Gandhara Desha or Gandhara Desha? That is our own true nature. That is Atman, our true identity. We all forget our true identity. We forget our transcendental dimension. We forget our spiritual transcendental dimension, and we all hypnotize ourselves into believing that we are this body. When the slightest problem comes, we are shattered. When a tragedy occurs, we always interpret this tragedy in terms of our empirical experiences, because we are imprisoned within our own body. We are brought into our body by our own karmas, punya and papa. And then what happens? We are blindfolded by Maya, Avarana and Vikshepa. We can't see, we cannot recognize our own spiritual dimension, because there is a blindfold that covers our eyes. What is that? Maya. It is Avarana and Vikshepa. And then what happens? The ropes that tie us to the tree, that is desires, vasanas, samskaras, our own vishaya vasanas, our own sensory impulses play the role of ropes that tie us to this tree. And what is this forest? Our own body. The forest is the body. The poor prisoner is Baddha Jiva, the Jiva who believes that I am this body. And then, who is the teacher? Who is the compassionate traveler who takes pity on him and brings him out to the main road and tells him, Edam Drisham Raja, go in this way, then you'll get back to your hometown. Then you get back to your Atman identity. That person is Acharya. So Shankaracharya has got a bhashya which is perhaps one of the most luminous portions of the whole bhashya. Bhashyagara says, Yatha ayam drishtantah varnitaha savishayebhyo gandharebhyo purushaka taskarehi abhinaddhaksha aviveka dingmudha achanaya pipasadiman vyaghra taskaradi aneka bhaya anartha bradamayudam aranyam pravesidaka dukkhartha vikroshan bandhanebhyo mumukshustishtadi sa kathamchideva karunikena kenajit mokshidaka sudeshan gandharaneva upavanna nivritta sukhi abhut. So, and then the Bhashyagara repeats, this person who is taken away from his own hometown suddenly starts believing that he himself is not Atman, because he is taken away from Gandhara Desha. He associates himself with his body, mind and intellect. Now, when the teacher tells him, look here, you come out through Tattvamasi Mahavakya. If you get the Mahavakya Upadesha, then if we use our own intelligence, if you do more and more Sravana, Manana, Nidhyasana, if you do Anusandhana through other Mahavakyas like Prajnanam Brahma, which is Lakshana Vakya, or if you do Ayamatma Brahma, or through Sravana, Manana, Nidhyasana, through Karma Yoga, then what happens? You will slowly get back to your hometown. She is a Pandito Methavi. So Bhashyakara says that person should be Panditaha and Methavi. He should be able to understand the true implication of meaning of this Upadesha. And then he should have the strength to stick to his own road. Frequently, many spiritual seekers do not reach the destination because they get attracted by different temptations on the way. So Bhashyakara says, Parobadishta grama pravesha marga avadharana samarthaka san gandharaneva upasampadhyeda na itaro mudhamatihi deshandra darshana drangva. So when a student gets instruction, he should first of all be pandita. He should be able to, he should be a methavi, grandhadharana shakti, the higher intuitive power to understand the true implication of this Upadesha. Then what happens? On the way, as he is traveling towards his own hometown Gandhara Desha, which is when we are trying to get back to our own spiritual home, our Atman identity, there may be many temptations. There may be a garden on the way. So for the traveler, he should not deviate from his central road. He should stick to his path and reach his goal. Similarly, in spiritual life, after getting Upadesha, there can be many temptations. There can be many obstacles. One should not be tempted by temptations, and one should not be weakened by obstacles. One should steadily follow the path of sadhana. And then what happens? That person reaches the destination. Once the destination is reached, then it will be the end of his spiritual journey. He will recognize and realize his own spiritual identity. So, Tattvamasi Mahavakya take us to our own spiritual home. It is not a new knowledge. Mokshasya akaryatvad, Bhashyakara says elsewhere. Moksha is not a result of any action. It is not a karya. We are actually getting back to our own spiritual home. But we should be intelligent enough to understand the meaning of Upadesha. We should have the steadiness to follow the path shown by the Acharya, and we should have the strength of mind not to be tempted by temptations, and then we should reach our destination. So, towards the end of the Bhashya, there's a conclusion. Bhashyakara says, Yattuktam sadatmasan atmanam katham na janiyadidi na saudoshaka karyakarana sanghada vediriktaka akam jiva karta bhokta ityabi subhavata praninam vijnana adarsanat. So, this Upadesha, once we understand the true meaning of Upadesha and follow the path of Anusandhana, then we are sure to understand the meaning of Tattvamasi, which tells us that humanity, creation is one. That means there is everything is one. It is the philosophy of oneness in all aspects. Thank you. Namaskar. Om asadoma sadgamaya tamasoma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amudam gamaya. Om shanti shanti shanti. If there are questions, you're most welcome.
Yes, Swamiji. Thank you so much. That was extremely lucid, clear and concise. Really enjoyed it. There are two short questions, Swamiji. The first one is just asking you, is there a sub-commentary of the Shankara Bhasham commentary of Chhandogya Upanishad? And the other question is, what is our true identity and what happens after death and before rebirth?
Yeah. So there is Anandagiri Tika is there. And of course for all Bhashyas, and then Madhusudana Saraswati in his Gudartha Deepika, he refers to some of these aspects of Chhandogya Bhashya, and especially this Gandhara Purusha Drishtanta. Shankaracharya himself has indicated as much, this body is the forest and the robbers are punya, papa, etc. All is clear. But Madhusudana has clarified, has thrown further light. What's the next part of the question?
So the question was, what happens after death and before rebirth? What is our true identity?
What after death and rebirth? So
between death and rebirth.
Yeah, after death, if we have already reached sadhana sadhushta sampatti and go to upadesha, received upadesha and practiced, then karmanishthayaha chittasuddhi dvarena pushartha hedutvam na swadandriyana jnananishtadu swadandriyana pushartha hedu anyan apeksha. If we reach chittasuddhi, then jnana prapti is inevitable. If jnana prapti is there, then moksha is inevitable. At the time of death, we will reach Videha Mukti. The delay is mentioned here. This Upadesha will produce immediate result according to Vivaranagara, Vivarana Prasthana. Shabda, Parokshvada. Shabda itself, actually Upadesha, Tattvamasi Upadesha itself will produce Aham Brahmasmi Anubhuti immediately. That's how but that's possible only for the highest adhikaris. For those who are already established in the 7 disciplines of sadhana sampatti, sravana, manana, nididhyasana. For others, they, according to the level of their own achievement of sadhana sampatti, they have to work hard. Karmanishthayaha chiddasiddharina pusadhaketum. That's okay. Please, thanks.
Thank you so much. One more question. Our last question is, what are the illustrations one will get in the journey of self-realization? That is, how will one know that we are on the correct path? I think that's the question.
Yeah, when we reach realization, we will know that. In fact, if you want intellectual understanding of something, it is not realization. It is yes sakshat aparokshat brahma. When we see, it's just like when you thought it is a snake, when you bring light, and then you understand what you thought to be the snake is now understood to be the rope. So the question, actually the knowledge, the scriptures, all sadhanas are only playing the role of a light. The light doesn't produce the rope. The light only removes the darkness that stands in the way of our understanding. That's a piece of rope. So it avarana leads to viksheba. Similarly, once viksheba is gone, then this anubhuti it is swayam prakashaka. It doesn't require any proof. It is sarva pramana avati. It doesn't require any kind of proof, any explanation. We feel that within ourselves. According to some other Tikakara, they say chitta prasada of the highest type, which can be seen as kridakrityada, kridarthada, So kridarthada is itself, we have already reached the goal. That itself is an indication that you have reached your own spiritual home, spiritual destination. You won't feel any desire to go anywhere else. You don't feel any desire to have anything else.
Wonderful, Swamiji. Thank you so much.
Thank
we
you,
wish
namaskar,
that you can
namaskar.
come back on this platform again. We really
Thank you, namaskar, namaskar, namaskar.
Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha.
Om Namaskar.